What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast. I'm your host, David Michael, and this is the whole crew, Tony, Tripp, and Mo. What's up, fellas?
What up?
This is an exciting episode because, yes, the rumors were true. The Pioneer CDJ-3000s are here, and we have a pair of them in studio, and we are literally, we've just unboxed them, set them up, and we're going to fool around with them live on camera, and that's pretty much the only plan for this episode. Yep.
Easy there, tough guy.
Whoa, slow down there, tough guy.
For some of you might be able to tell we were having some old school Jerky Boys discussion prior to, so excuse the accents.
Oh, my word.
Should they pop up. And if you don't know, Spotify. Yep, the whole discography's there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, basically, we seriously, literally took them out of the box, set them up, and haven't really done anything with them other than look at them and mess with the platters and stuff. So you're getting our first reactions here. The only thing that I've done before now is I actually did record the unboxing, and you can check that out in a link that I'll put in the description below this episode. That went to the DJ hookup. And they are basically responsible for this episode happening. So shout out to the DJ hookup.
Yeah, thank you.
And I haven't checked like today, but the last time that I talked to them, they actually had a few of these in stock. So if you're interested, go check them out. Go hit up their little chat box, and they'll hook you up.
Yeah, it's actually a really real human too. So
yeah,
if you have real questions, like someone will really answer them like almost immediately.
So this isn't the formal produced review video. This is just kind of the roundtable discussion and experimentation. So we hope you enjoy. So there's a lot to talk about with these things. Obviously, this is Pioneer's new flagship. It's replacing the 2000 Nexus 2s.
Those came out in
the 2s?
2015, right?
Yeah. Sounds right. I think so. And so, there are two things that you notice right off the bat as soon as you take it out. The first thing is, holy crap, the screen is enormous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nice. Sure. I mean, it's really nice. I commented earlier, it's like almost a MacBook Air in there. It's like a big old thing. How does that compare, do you think, to your 5000, your Denons?
It's definitely bigger than the 5000s. I haven't seen the 6000s in action yet, so I don't know how to compare.
I almost asked you to bring one so we could do some comparison, but I was like, really, the 6000 is the actual competitor to this. I wasn't sure, but we might, maybe next time we'll do something like that. But
I like this. I think the Denons are probably a little bit more clear, like the clarity.
The clarity of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder what the resolution. I'll have to compare the specs on that stuff. The other obvious thing, anybody want to take a whack at what's different about the CDJ-3000?
First thing I did was the platter. That's
platter?
what I noticed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the graphic in the platter too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that wasn't even a thing back then with the last iteration.
For me, it's the obvious lack of CD drive. On the front.
Well. It's going to come around to that. But
what is a CD? What is that? We're way past
back
CDs.
in the day. Yeah. So I guess that's where I'll kind of start. Does anybody here care or have a thought about that one way or the other? The omission of the optical drive in the CDJ and still calling it that?
Yes.
Okay. In which direction does your thought go?
So that's one of my biggest gripes about this thing. As you said, I haven't even put my fingers on it yet. So, just based off of what they've announced and what we know of it, why call it a CDJ? You know what I mean? Like, they have the XDJ lineup for the driveless, optical driveless multiplayers. So if that's the next iteration, I mean, because that's all this really is it's a really beefed up XDJ player.
Yeah.
So why continue the CDJ line when all you're going to get is people stirred up and talking about it? Maybe that's the point.
That could be.
And two, I mean, if it's not there, it's not there. So discontinue the CDJ line, but forward all of the innovation and everything that has come with that line into the XDJ line, and continue to innovate going forward from that.
So just to be clear, do you have a problem with the omission of the drive?
Oh,
with
no.
the naming?
Who cares? No. The CD drive. I haven't used a CD drive in 10 years plus, probably. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, because I just found a new doctor, and all my medical records are on a CD drive. And I was about to take it to the doctor's office. I was like, I need to put this on a thumb drive, because they probably don't even have the CD drive.
Right.
And then the next day is when this dropped, and I was like, and then that's the first thing I heard people saying is there's no CD drives. I was like, yeah, because
who's bringing a CD wallet to a gig?
It's been 16 years since I put a CD in a player.
Right.
I guess the real question is, being that so the 3000s are the flagship multi-purpose festival, big
club standard
scale club standard thing. So in that context, does it make sense to take the drive out? I guess is there an argument to be made that we should support everything because this is no?
Coming from my angle, no, absolutely not, because I can't even tell you the last time I saw a DJ play a stage with anything but a thumb drive or an SD card.
I was just about to make that same comment. For as long as I've been working for Tony, I've never seen anybody come up with a CD.
Right.
It's been years and years for me too as well.
I mean, rarely do you even see him come up with a laptop.
Right.
So that's what kind of makes me wonder is obviously there was noise about it, and it's like, is this just internet buzz, but there's really no substance to it? You know what I mean?
No.
Or are there any DJs out there? Actually, please post in the comments if you're a DJ that's using CDs, and tell us why.
Yep.
Because I'd be interested to know. But on the naming scheme thing, I definitely get your point, but I understand, because I compare it to car manufacturers, right? So Porsche has the 911 Turbo. Well, now they have the Taycan, the Porsche Taycan, which is an all-electric car, supercar basically, and they have their model, their naming scheme for their trim levels follows everything from the 911 and everything else. So there's a Taycan Turbo, which doesn't make sense, because you can't put a turbocharger on an electric
vehicle,
car.
yeah.
That's a combustion engine thing. Mm-hmm. But Porsche's not going to be like, so we just can't call this the Turbo anymore. So now their argument is that
it's a trim line.
It's its own
It's its
thing.
own brand.
Yeah, it's
a branding issue,
exactly.
probably.
And so from that perspective, I think what Pioneer is doing is saying there's a legacy to the CDJ name, and it means our top-of-the-line flagship product, and so we're just going to stick with that. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't think you do. Right?
I don't. No.
But I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I get it, because if they called it anything else, do you think that DJs would believe that it was the replacement for the 2000s?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like if they called it the XDJ.
Let me ask you this.
Whatever.
Let me ask you this. Is this any more or less a flagship because it doesn't have the Nexus name on it?
That's a great point.
So, to me, if I mean, there's no wrong answer here. You know what I mean?
Yes, there is.
Well, I mean, Pioneer is Pioneer, and we're not the ones in the driver's seat for that. But I mean, for me, I would have. I would have, if I would have been in that boardroom, I would have made the argument that discontinue the CDJ line and make that the argument that when's the last time you saw a DJ put a CD in the drive, so we are changing with the times, and then we are putting all of that innovation forward into the XDJ line. I mean, because those, what is it, the XDJ 900s are the...
No, see, they had CDJ
or CDJ 900s, what the 1000s, right? Whatever
XDJ 1000s.
Yeah, so take all that innovation, dump it into the same place. I mean, it looks the same. It's the same, form factor. It's all of that stuff. So just take all of that and put it into that, and now you can call it XDJ-3000, and then keep going from there. That's just me, but
fair enough.
I'm not in charge.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it could have been an opportunity for them to create a new platform to go into the next generation of players.
Because now it's just and like I said, maybe this is part of the whole marketing of it all, is that you get people talking about it. Now you're in their head. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I don't even know if this is true or not, but I saw on a Facebook comment somewhere where somebody said, "Oh, CD doesn't stand for compact disc in CDJ anymore. Now it stands for compact digital something." Right. And I was like, you can't just change what CD means after 3 decades.
But I mean, to be fair, what does XD mean?
Right. Well, but XD is their proprietary, that's their naming convention, right? So, the CD stands for something that was based on something that was an industry music format standard.
Maybe they just like that little pun too much, the CDJ thing. They can't let go of it.
So, I mean, that's just me. That's because now people are talking about that. They are speculating. So it does create a buzz, but it also creates confusion because there's going to be people out there who say, well, this is stupid. Why are you calling it a CDJ if there's no CD player, and all that stuff. So, I mean, hopefully if somebody's going to drop $2,300, $2,400 on one of these things that they know before they pull out their credit card that it doesn't have a CD player, but you never know.
Yeah. So,
because I got high. Because I got high.
Yeah.
So, yes,
one of those drunk quarantine 3 a.m. in the morning can't sleep purchases. Yeah. You've done it.
Yeah. A couple.
So, like Tripp said, $22.99 each. Yep. So they're a pretty penny.
Yep.
But obviously these aren't, I mean, everybody complains about the Pioneer tax and the price of these things, but really these aren't meant for the home user. I mean, that just becomes more and more clear as their line expands that Pioneer doesn't really care if you can't afford their festival gear.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I get it. But at the same time, it's hard to not compare these to the competition like we always do, like the Denons in particular, right? Because the other thing and I hate we should talk about some positive things because we're going straight to the negatives, but there's also no dual layer technology in these, meaning you can't play 2 tracks on the same player like you can with the Denons. And that surprised me.
It doesn't surprise me.
Is that just a a money situation, to make you buy more players, or is there another reason for that?
Is that a Denon thing, though? Is that a patent that maybe Denon has?
No, it can't be because they have it on all the DDJ players.
Yeah. Oh, they do? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the SZ, the SX, SX2, all of that. Yeah, there's dual.
Even on the 1000 you can do. I mean, granted, that's a separate platform, but the technology is there within the Pioneer system. So
these are definitely powerful enough to do it. These have more...
Have their own processing power, their own chip, right?
Yeah, these have more grunt than the Denons do. They're pretty solid in that department.
So it almost makes you wonder if it's something that might be forthcoming through a firmware update or something.
But right. Yeah. That's one thing that they've Pioneer has said is they've put a lot of guts into these things because they really want to focus on being able to expand and add features and updates and stuff in the future. Where, I mean, they historically haven't done a whole lot of that. I mean, as far as adding new innovations and features and stuff in the way that Denon one day was like, our players have Wi-Fi now.
And everybody's like, what? When did you guys put an antenna in there?
Yeah. Well, it was in there the whole time. So I mean, there's a possibility that Pioneer's done something like that here because these also don't have Wi-Fi or streaming or any of that stuff. Right. I would imagine that streaming's coming in the future. Wi-Fi would depend on if there's hardware in there, sure, obviously. But let's get to some nice stuff about these because they are really nice. They're great players. The build quality is everything you expect and possibly more. To me, and I wish we had a Nexus 2 sitting here on the desk right now, but from memory, they feel just more solid to me. I mean, just trying to grab the platter and grab things and wiggle, they just feel really solid. They're definitely still very heavy, even without the optical drive.
Right.
So I don't know if that might be artificial. Some companies add weights for that, but I don't know. I'm not going to tear these apart. But, all the buttons and knobs and sliders, they all feel great, and you expect them to feel great. So we probably won't spend a lot of time talking about that. The finish kind of has that satiny, sheen to it, which I like.
Yeah, this is the
kind of brushed look.
I was going to say it's the brushed aluminum tops. I don't remember if the Nexus 2s had the brushed aluminum or if it was all plastic, but that was one thing that I did notice on these. As soon as all the stuff started coming out, I was all like, I really love that brushed aluminum look. But
I should have done this before we started recording, but does anybody know where my phone is? It's over there.
Where the hell my phone? Where the hell my phone?
Okay.
How the hell am I gonna get home?
You see it over by my... Thank you. It's all right. This is a free form episode. It's all good. Thanks, man.
Where the hell am my phone?
So, thank you. One thing about the platters on these that Tony was commenting on is they're all like one piece of glass across the top, and there's no like push button action. You know what I mean? Where you would like kind of grab it.
It's not springy.
It's not springy anymore. I imagine there's touch capacitance there now. Any thoughts on the placement of the hot cues across the top above the jog wheel?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, but before I go into the negative, I will say that I'm really glad to see that at least they put it in there. It's dedicated hardware buttons.
There's 8 of them instead of 4.
Right. So the reason I don't like it though, the placement, is because it's over the jog wheel. So you are having to hover, right above this thing. So depending on how inebriated you are or what, whatever else is going on.
If you're playing in vinyl mode, then you're kind of like. It could be drastic, but if you're in CDJ mode, okay, cool, but it's still the placement.
It's just a little awkward, whereas, other
down
players
on the bottom,
either have them here or down this side. So, it's more of a, just an ergonomics thing over here.
I think a lot of people complain about the Denon's placement because they like to rest their wrist here, too, which I don't do, so it doesn't bother me.
Exactly,
but,
same, yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like... Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So, can you finger drum these? Or are these just like hot
They're
cues?
just hot cues.
Yeah.
So there's no like slicer or real beat pad stuff going on now.
Yet.
So maybe that's okay for what
it's just a quick hot cue.
Right. Right.
But I can see that,
But I am more glad to see them there than I am upset of where they are. Just because anytime I've the Nexus 2s, when you've only got those few, but in Record Box you've saved 8 to 12 different hot cues and all that. It just having those dedicated buttons, are a lot better.
They support gigabit Ethernet now. So that's a new thing, and you can use that to link up to 6 CDJs now. So if you're like big baller like that, and you have a V10 and 6 CDJ-3000s, then you can totally rock it out. Let's see. Serato HID mode is not implemented yet, but it's supposed to be coming soon. I don't know what's going on with Tractor. I have no idea on that. I haven't looked though. So I don't know if there's any news or not.
Big fat boo.
Yeah, so it's a 9-inch display, and it's definitely a lot brighter than before, and you can actually adjust the brightness on there.
Oh, that's nice.
It's something like 150% brighter.
I like the size of it because my old ass, I even had LASIK eye surgery, and when I'm trying to play, I don't want to wear my glasses, but when I'm in a dark club, I have to put my glasses on. That I can see.
It's cool, too, because right here, just for that scenario, there's this little font size adjustment. It's just like a little shortcut right here. Do you see how it's...
Oh, yeah.
Yep, boop, boop, boop. Just 3 steps.
That's beauty.
So however you like it to go. So that's pretty nice. The waveforms are real nice. Of course, you can use the scroll wheel to... I should do that on the other side so people can see it. Let's load something over here. So you use the scroll wheel to...
tune in and out, zoom.
Yep.
Nice.
And let's see... Oops, sorry. So there's a couple of new waveform, or there's a new waveform mode. mode, like color scheme, I guess.
Oh, okay.
You know, I had like the blue, and then you had like the rainbow one that reacted to frequencies. Well, there's a new one that's 3-band, and so it's like the rainbow waveform concept, but a lot less active, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's just got 3 bands in it, so it's really clear when you look at it, like, oh, this is bass. This is like a hi-hat thing.
I really like
nice.
that. Yeah, that's nice.
So it's like by actually limiting the colors, it's more
Better
it's
information.
Yeah, better information. Yeah, which
Okay.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm with it.
It does support touch scrolling and stuff like that, but it is not multi-touch, so you can't pinch to zoom, or it's not like an iPad experience or even like a Denon experience.
Okay.
Another thing that kind of surprised me, that seemed like a no-brainer to me, so I'm not sure why, but that's the way it is. There's a new quick touch preview thing, which is pretty cool, where you can just, like when you're browsing, you can just touch it and you'll hear it in your headphones.
That
Oh, you can get a cue.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Quick cue?
and just while you're like momentarily, and you can touch it
without
like,
even having to load it.
yeah,
Like
just
that's the really cool part.
skim it real quick. Yeah, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
On top of that, there's let me make sure I call this the right thing. So with that live preview thing, there's also a thing called link queue, and what that lets you do is you can you can do the same thing on a linked. Imagine a scenario where you're like B2B and you're like coming into the next track, then you can do that across linked devices and you can hear it like across the network. So like if you had something, I think like the V10 I think has 2 queue systems, I think, like for double DJing.
Oh, okay.
So you could actually like even use separate headphones to like preview what's like going to come in and what you know, without like actually loading or messing anything
right,
up.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Before I get too much further in here, I've kind of prepared just like a 10 or 12 track playlist of like royalty-free songs that should be YouTube friendly and stuff. And I set a couple of hot cues on each one and analyzed them and stuff. Does anybody want to just give them a whack and see how they feel?
Let's go. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Do it,
have
do
at
it.
They're all just kind of techno-y stuff, so
I mean,
nothing
come on.
crazy. And somebody want to grab that GoPro and maybe get some
Come
little
on,
swoopies,
Cletus.
Come on.
or I can do that.
So, I'm seeing master over here too.
Yeah, so
Wow.
That's nice.
you can see the scrolling waveform of the other player when you load. Yeah, there's like a miniature one on top, which is really, so it's kind of controllery. Yeah, it's neat.
Nope. So one thing I've noticed is the grooving on the Platter as well.
Yeah,
So
nice little grip action.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got it.
Oh.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's really nice. That
The textured
grip. Yeah.
grip.
I almost wonder, like, I mean, because it's taken on some fingerprinting there,
Yeah.
but in a club environment, I give that like a year before it's just like solid of gunk, you know. Like,
Thing flies, doesn't it?
yeah.
Jog wheel.
Look at that thing.
So Tony just turned the jog wheel adjustment all the way down to the lightest setting and then gave it just a big old spin, and it kept going for a solid 10 or 20 seconds. The jog wheels feel really good, I think.
Yeah. So while Tony's at it, so one of the things that I noticed, I kind of touched on it earlier, is that the CDJ 3000 in name is missing the Nexus label.
Right.
So, going back to the whole thing about like branding and product lines and things like that, does all the functionality that came from the Nexus and Nexus 2 lines carry forward into this, or is there something that was branded Nexus that is like markedly missing or something?
Yeah, I'm really not sure on that, because it's like, yeah, is Nexus a feature or a feature set, or is it, like you said, does it describe their flagship line or what? Because there was also a CDJ-900 Nexus.
Right.
So what is that?
Exactly.
So maybe they just decided that was too convoluted and they're phasing it out. I'm really not sure on that.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, me, if I was a consumer of Pioneer products and knowing that has been a thing the last couple of lines, or with a couple of products, I'm not necessarily going to want to jump ship off of.
Oh, is there
what
a
I've
new
got.
one coming?
Yeah. So I'll just hold out for the CDJ-3000 Nexus. you know?
Kind of like the iPhone and then the iPhone S.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's for me, having not put my hands on it yet, but oh yeah.
Tony says he's loving these jog wheels, so he had to take his headset off to get the other headphones on.
But to me, that's the question is this like for Pioneer, is this the Apple experience? You know what I mean? Like, yes, these are very nice top of the line players just by looking at them, seeing the spec sheet, understanding what we can expect out of them. But at the end of the day, is this just a continuation of the Pioneer experience rather than something groundbreaking or earth-shattering or particularly innovative? And if that's the case, how much are people really going to jump off of their CDJ-2000, 2000 Nexus, 2000 Nexus 2 to go to this?
Right.
Is it really there? And is it going to win back any of the people who jump ship, to Denon?
Yeah, we can't hear you without your mic.
Oh.
Sorry for the thumbs, guys. We're moving mics around.
So one thing that I did notice right here, if you watch, if I hit this Q point A, how long it takes to jump back to the beginning.
So I have it set to quantize to 1 beat.
To the beat.
There's a way to change that somewhere. That turns it on and off, but I'm not
There you
sure
go.
how to...
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, you just wanted a live one?
Yeah, I just wanted to see like the reaction time.
Yeah, you gotcha. How do the hot cues feel when you're just using them like that?
I like them.
Good.
Sorry, I keep forgetting. I thought I had my DJ headphones on. No, I like the way they feel, the reaction now that I took the quantize off. I love it because I like real time. I hate, like, I don't mind people that use sync, and I like if I'm using more than a couple decks, then fine and dandy. But when you use sync and you're not really super precise, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a delay reaction, but I like it not quantized because I like to be right on it and feel it. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're very reactive. The play and the Q buttons too feel a little different, a lot better.
I thought so too. They're like something different about the clicking action or something.
Yeah, it's not clicking. Then again, man, that jog wheel and Platter is just yeah.
It feels premium.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try and scratch on it and see if I like it, but I probably won't because it's not moving. That's my own. That would be my only thing.
Maybe get Jesse in here too.
Yeah,
Fatty,
absolutely.
try it. So we got Trip Turlington on the decks right now, trying them out for the first time. Are you trying out that live preview?
You say you're not getting it?
That's probably because you might need to be connected to a something other than an 850
to get the preview. Is that a software thing? Like, why the 850? What?
I'm thinking.
I'm wondering what makes it previewable.
Yeah, because this mixer has no way to tell if you've hit the Q. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Oh, on the CDJ itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
usually you would at least have the Nexus networked into with the Ethernet,
Right.
and the 850 doesn't have that. So there's probably a communication missing there.
What if do we have them linked?
Just the players to each other.
Those Platters are just... I can't speak highly enough about them. I mean, Denons are a lot more durable, but these just feel like butter.
Yeah, they feel good. Pitch faders feel pretty good too. There's no center click, no detent, if anybody was wondering. By the way, I'm forcing the guys to mix songs that they've never even heard before. Have no idea what they're getting into, so go easy on them. Sure found some acid though. So we also now have beat loop buttons for 4 bars and 8 bars. We've got physical beat jump buttons that point like left and right arrows, and they actually work like proper beat jumps. One really cool thing about these players, just speaking to some of the new features, this does support key shifting and key syncing. And that's something that you may have seen in other pieces of software or other, digital systems, but Pioneer's implementation is really excellent because there's some other outlets have talked about this. I think Digital DJ Tips brought it up and some others, but the Camelot system that a lot of DJs use for keys is somewhat flawed in that there are actually more compatible keys that you can mix in than they let on. And so in order to get to compatible keys, a lot of DJs will go, way too many semitones, and you'll be doing the chipmunk thing or whatever.
Right.
And so the Pioneers take this into effect, all of the keys that are actually compatible, and it will only let you move within a few semitones, so it's never that drastic of a change. So it's actually a lot better sounding implementation. And the key sync, though I haven't tried it, I hear the key sync works really well. It basically just detects and goes, matches the keys, and you don't have to think about it too much. We now have the mighty Mo Dingo on the decks, experiencing the CDJ-3000s for the very first time. Coming out of a techno loop. Another thing about the CDJ-3000, the microprocessors in these things, the MPUs, they are ARM-based processors. They're very powerful. They're more powerful than any players that I'm aware of, including the Denons. That means instant load times when you load tracks. A lot of times with the old players, you would load a track and you'd kind of have to wait for the hotkeys.
Yep.
Wait for it to think a little bit.
Right.
It just comes up, bam, no problem. That means it's capable of insanely good sound quality. This is the best in that department that Pioneer's ever released as far as sound quality. And the MPUs also allow for more updates and features, like we said, in the future. There's room to grow, so to speak. Now, speaking to Tony's point earlier, there is a physical quantize button for enabling and disabling that, which is nice. That's really frustrating on my XDJs when I have to go find a menu option for that. Now, one super mega downside of these, there's no... Boo! No. One mega downside of these is there is no onboard analysis.
Yeah, I found that.
Say that again?
No onboard analysis.
Especially with the extra beat that it didn't analyze the tracks.
Sorry, I can't hear you, buddy.
No, I was saying with all that extra beef, I was kind of surprised that it doesn't analyze the tracks.
Agree. That's definitely got the power to do it.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder if that's coming.
Does
in
it
the
just
future.
rely on record boxes analyzing?
Yeah. You've still
you
got to
gotta-
analyze and export.
Yeah, prior
Or
to.
But you
connect
can
my
put it in
laptop.
and eventually it'll show, the wave will show up.
You have to have analyzed it.
Like
It won't analyze it on board like the Denon as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rather surprising.
Yeah.
yeah.
It
Okay,
does
so-
have a nice. Have you guys ever used the tagging feature on CDJs? Not in record box. Not. I don't mean like adding tags. I mean like when you tag something, you just click the tag button
No.
and it adds it to a playlist.
Oh, I know what you're talking
It's
about.
kind
but
of.
no,
It's
I've
almost
not
like a
used it.
favorites
Yeah,
list. So this has that, but you can like, oh, I like this track, and you just tag it, and then another couple tracks later you tag it, and then you can actually create a playlist from your tag list without even bringing it to record box.
Yeah, no, I've never done that. So just looking through the utilities, like I don't know if what all of the like menus and submenus look like on previous ones, but this is actually sorted pretty decently.
Easy to find everything.
Yeah, so like DJ setting, okay, like this could literally mean anything, but you know, really, I mean, it's a small menu here, so there's not a whole lot going on. LCD brightness, so it's divided into the display LCD and then the indicators. This one even has a screensaver. So
Yep.
touch calibration, all of that stuff. So then pro DJ linking, some system stuff. So it's not an overwhelming, like, terrible thing to have to dig in here and try to find something.
By the way, speaking to all the key mixing stuff, it actually has a live key indicator. You should be able to see it over here somewhere. I think there's no key data on this. I probably didn't do the key data on these, but it'll actually just show in the screen there now, which is nice.
Okay.
Let's see. There's some really nice track filtering options too when you're doing that search. Like you can really get like some really neat options in there, and you should probably check that out when you get a second. You can like basically what it'll do is like take whatever track is playing on the other deck while you're searching, and then you can use that as like a comparison filter. Like find other tracks that are key compatible with what's playing.
Oh, okay.
Or BPM compatible or whatever. I don't know what all the options are, but it's neat that it pays attention to what's playing and then gives you that option.
Yeah, because I mean, one really cool feature, whether it's Pioneer or Denon or whatever, but like you and I have had these discussions in the past where trying to figure out, an intelligent system for grouping your like tracks together.
Yeah.
So like me personally, I came up with, as simple of a tagging system that I could come up with for different genres. So, for example, like if I'm doing tech step or neurofunk, that sort of stuff, like I use words like growling or techie or those types of words, and then try to maintain that same consistency throughout that entire like
Stuff that's searchable in the future.
That way, when I'm playing something like that, then I can sort or search for those terms and say, okay, if I'm playing a grimy track, then I can type in grimy, and then all of these other ones will come up, and then I can sort them.
I've got a few that I've got groovy and moody
Right.
and stuff like that too, or airy or bright or whatever.
Yep, when I get in,
Squishy.
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 I'm just kidding. I don't
yeah, when I get into my techno
I need
and house,
something
techno and house and stuff like that, I get into those types of words.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the genre and all of that. But so to come up with a system that would like, and I mean this is a much bigger conversation than the CDJ-3000, and we don't have to go into this, but just as an aside, it would be kind of cool if we would finally be able to like leverage some AI to be able to analyze these tracks in a more meaningful, intelligent way and say,
Like to the user?
yeah, for a system, like record box 20.4, right? But you upload your library, the AI consumes it and says, okay, it listens to your tracks and then is able to group them and say,
Find me tracks that sound like these.
this. Yep, yep. within your own library.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you can do that somewhat with, you know, the Pandora Genome Project, the Music Genome Project, and then Spotify does it to some degree and all of that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's all still, you know, in my opinion, I think it's mostly built on, you know, some form of blunt or brute force, you know, humans behind it, tagging that music so that it still gets
So
sorted.
it goes towards your particular algorithm.
Yeah. But that's a whole other ballgame. But coming back to this, so putting my hands on it, I mean, that's a pioneer experience, and so like I mentioned a few years ago, or a few minutes ago, you know, my question is you know, is this particularly innovative? I mean, really?
That was going to be my question to all of you guys.
Because I mean, to me, like the whole thing, it's a very nice player. It's there. It is Pioneer. It is. I mean, it's what you would expect it to be. But is it particularly innovative? Is it worth dropping $2,400 on new players? Unless you're in that, if you're in the market for it and that's what you want, then cool. But like if you already have a set of 2000 Nexus 2s. You know, would you run off and sell those to get this?
Yes.
I don't know.
Absolutely, I would.
Really?
Absolutely, I would.
Well, okay. To fulfill writers or because you want that?
Because I'd want that.
Really?
It feels that much better to me.
Really?
100%. If I had the money and I had the resources to, absolutely, I would do it.
Okay.
It's. I mean, it's no different than me going from MacBook to MacBook Pro.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? I would do it. And I've only just really touched them. I haven't got into the nuts and bolts of it, but just the feeling itself, 100%.
I don't think that I would, but I understand why you say that.
Well, it comes back to what you said earlier. Who's the desired consumer of this? If this is not intended for, you know, every DJ out there, then that's where I kind of take issue. Because if this is meant for people who have money, or the clubs and festival scene, then what else is going to be out there from Pioneer that will prepare the said people for those? You know what I mean? Like for a lot of people out there who may gig regularly, and then you know they may have saved up some money for a long time or whatever, and gotten, you know, the flagship stuff. Now this comes out. They may not have that money to put towards this or even have access to that until they get to the club or to the festival or whatever.
Even you know, working on these stages, the younger kids that open and stuff like that, not even the 2000 Nexuses do they have. They have smaller controllers because they can't afford it, and I understand it.
Yep.
But when they do come up on stage, they're so stoked to play on it. Like, holy shit, I get to play on a Nexus setup. It's great, you know.
Yeah, true.
But, I mean, think about back in our early days, people that were DJing on turntables. Not everybody had 1200s and could afford a $500 turntable at that time.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah.
But for
this isn't going to be industry standard, I don't think, for at least another year, probably.
Meaning you don't think the writers are going to start?
They're not going to guarantee these. I mean,
especially
we just did our drive-in, and Nate, which is the guy that owns the audio video backline company that we work with. I was talking to him about this. He said, "Yeah, good luck having me get these for at least a year." You know, so maybe by then they'll be down in price a little bit. I don't know, but it's going to be a minute before those.
It'll probably take a while, even just for stock to catch up to demand for that too. So,
well, that comes back to again getting away from the player a little bit, but like, why now? Like this doesn't make any sense.
The timing
at all.
is weird.
You know, COVID-19 has shut down all kinds of supply chains. You've got, you know, clubs, festivals. Like nobody's gigging right now. Like, I mean, there's so many things. And then, you know, unemployment, at least here in America, is at some all-time low. Like, you know, people are struggling, and especially in the DJ realm, where our entire business is rooted in the ability of people to gather, you know. So it's like, you know, all of a sudden here comes Pioneer and says, "Hey, you got $5,000?" Like,
they want some of that PUA money,
right?
They want to dip their toes in the water.
And so it's just curious to me. Again, the player is really nice. I would not argue with somebody who came up and said, "Hey, do you want a set?" Sure. Like, I mean, and will I complain about playing on them in the future? Absolutely not. Like that is the Pioneer experience, and it's improved. I love the bigger screen. The jog wheels feel great. There's so much about that is that there are lots of little tweaks and improvements, especially like the waveforms and all of that stuff. This is a good experience. There's just a lot of questions as to. Huh?
You said there's a lot of gut. Though, if there's a lot of gut on the inside and room for improvement via software, and it starts opening up other things that you can do with it, and I was about to say, you know what? Like, I'm actually getting hot. So I know you guys are sweating nuts right now.
But the question I had is, like, with it being a 5-year gap, what really did we get from that?
Well, and so that goes back to his original point. It's hard to not start the conversation with comparison to your competitors, because that's what capitalism is about, right? Like, are you being innovative in your own space? How much of your market share are you going after? And Denon has won a lot of people over. I'm one of them. I'm not going to sell my Denon rig to go out and buy one of these. Because that's all I could afford. If I sold my Denon rig as one of those. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the point, is that, for a fraction of the cost of these, for less than one of these, I bought a whole used, Denon rig, and have gotten, and still at this point, I feel like have more player, or more functionality in that one. Now, are there stark differences? Well, sure. I've got the SC 5000s, and these are, past that. So there's definitely some, pros and cons to weigh out there. But I mean, something as simple as the dual layer, like, that's a big miss in my opinion.
It's hard for me to not make automotive comparisons, right? So, like, the Denons are like Tesla, right? Like, and these are like, I don't know, BMW or
Corvette.
Maybe even something more premium, and where it's like Tesla has these amazing features and things that will get you to buy them because they're innovative. To the original question, it's innovation. These I don't feel are particularly innovative. I feel like they're iterative, and I feel like they're top-notch, premium feeling quality, build quality, all that kind of stuff.
The experience,
just
absolutely,
just like a top-end, an upper brand car would be. It would have that build quality and higher quality materials, and all the touch points and everything would be a better experience. It would be more, whatever. Whereas the Teslas have all those awesome features and stuff, but they actually have a little bit of, like, the build quality isn't quite the same as, a higher end car. The panel gaps are different and stuff like that. And so, to me, that's the comparison I make. And
sure.
They have a lot.
It depends on what you want. Do you want it to do lots of cool shit, or do you just want it to be
what it is,
the best of its kind?
They have a lock on the industry standard game.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're hoping for too. Anyway.
I got
for the
into
$2,300 price tag.
Yeah. Well, and especially because I got into an internet conversation about that with with some other DJs that are more towards the established. They've been in the game for a couple of decades. People have been playing on it, all of it, and so one of them, he started the whole thread with, never owned a Pioneer product in my life, and I don't see any number of blinking lights that is going to make me buy one now or something like that. So that and for a second it kind of turned into that digital versus vinyl kind of thing, but at the same time it was like one of the threads kind of went down that path of, all Pioneer seems to be doing at this point with this is that they are resting on their laurels. They're the king of the mountain, and they're putting something out that I think it was Phil who, I'll quote him, where he said, "Expect evolution, not revolution." And
That's
so,
fair.
But that only lasts for so long.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially when you've got people coming out, like Denon, that comes out with, players that are, same size, same kind of girth or, build quality, a lot more features and all of that kind of stuff. Is Denon ever going to overtake the club and festival scene? I don't know. But, at least one budget-conscious DJ at a time, they seem to be making some headway.
If Technique came out to 1200 and it was 40 different things that you're used to on that 1200, would you be cool with it? Or would you be like, what the fuck happened to my 1200?
Sure.
That would be the comparison that I would make is
That's
somebody
a fair point.
that plays on Pioneer and it's used to that setup, everything.
Like, why does this have 32 fucking beat pads on it? I don't need that shit.
Right. I mean, I had the Nexus 2s, all the way through, and these, again, just a feeling of them for sure. 100%.
Yeah. No.
But it's a CDJ.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, this could be a little bit of posturing for Pioneer, or kind of placing themselves in a position to innovate in the future, because they did put a lot of horsepower in these.
Yeah.
And so more than they need, it seems. Which, like, there's a suspicious
based
amount
off
of
what's
power.
in front of us right now.
Well, so that's the part that I'll be really interested in seeing is did they put this out there with that same type of approach that flip on a switch one day, do a firmware update, and you've got Wi-Fi, but like, so who knows what is coming? Because you're absolutely right. Like, for the amount of oomph that they put into those things, like, anybody who knows anything about hardware, CPU specs and all that kind of stuff, So,
and another thing that's fair to mention is that there are reasons to make concessions for toughness and longevity, right? And this is here's another car comparison, because a lot of people would complain about, like, automotive infotainment systems and how not responsive they were to the touch and stuff. And like, my iPad can figure this out. Why is this so shitty? And it's because the screen quality of something like an iPad is not going to hold up in a car that gets 140 degrees on a hot day and that kind of stuff. So, that technology has to catch up and be durable and tough in those situations and stuff. And Pioneer CDJs are battle tested, festival fodder, kind of thing. And I don't know how, Denons that have been tossed around and stuff on the festival scene, I don't have a whole lot of stories about that to know how well they hold up.
Right.
But CDJs seem to. And so it's also fair to say that maybe you are paying, some of these limitations, like, I wonder why there's no multi-touch. That seems like a no-brainer to me in 2020. But maybe there's a reason they made that concession other than saving $5. Maybe they decided that we can get 5 more years in the sun out of this screen if we use this one.
Right.
So,
and when you were talking about the why, because it's been such a long time and there was not a lot going on in the space, maybe they kind of saw it as an opportunity to drop something.
might have just literally needed the boost,
Yeah.
the product refresh for its own sake.
Yeah, because 5 years is I mean, it's a computer essentially. In 5 years, in computer years, that's an eternity.
But
to not having some sort of new product.
But that also is what gives me a little bit of pause about this, because I agree that for the oomph that they put into this unit, you know, then that does seem to signal that there's a lot of forward thinking into the hardware needs of future software that's going to go into it. I mean, they do the same thing with phones. You know, people always say, "Oh, my phone, it's a conspiracy." They you know, your phone,
the planned obsolescence.
Yeah. And to some degree, I mean, sure, there's been some reports of that, but I mean, when you think about it from a technology standpoint, what you're asking your device 2, 3, 4, 5 years later to do, the technology behind all of that is completely different and has a lot higher demands on those devices. So, you know, some of it, there's some shady stuff on that.
There's a reason we don't have 16 gig iPhones anymore.
Right, exactly. So with this, that's where my concern is. They put all the beef in there to kind of show the signal that, hey, there's going to be some cool stuff coming.
They're trying to do some future proofing or something.
But, you know, at that same time, how long is that going to last before somebody says, "Oh, Q4 is looking awful. We better drop the CDJ-3000 Nexus, or or 3000 1.1, or like
Yeah.
So
And
that
if the point was literally just we need to generate some buzz, then it should do some dazzling new thing that these don't seem to do.
Right.
And I really hope that this episode doesn't seem like a really negative tone, because these are great.
Absolutely.
I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that, it's just if that was the point, is to generate consumer interest. The changes that have been made are really excellent changes for working circuit DJs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're not dazzling new things like the Denons were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that does make you kind of wonder if that was the reason.
But I think you have to look back or take a step back and look like, who is this for?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you ask that question, when it's for more stuff what like Tony's into versus like, this certainly isn't for mobile DJs.
Right.
I know that much. But for that, the club elite rider fulfilling type thing, yeah, it's going to take a couple years for sure.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if if COVID is actually part of the strategy. If they're like that gives time for people to get
for the curve
hardware,
to catch up.
Right.
Or maybe they know there's another stimulus coming.
Fucking corpo. Beat it.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about with the CDJ-3000s? Anybody else want to take them for a spin, or
I'll take it
check
for a
anything
spin.
else?
Not right
Yeah.
now. I want to look at the backside of them.
Yeah,
though.
Okay.
I brought my thumb drives too, but
the word that comes to me is like sturdy.
Yeah.
Feels-
and just sleek, and I mean, like I said, I mean, it's
The lock-in IECs.
Yes, that is nice. They do have locking power cables now.
But how you're talking about the BMW versus the Tesla, like when I drive a BMW, it feels a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Like this feels like a CDJ.
Yeah.
Like the next evolution of what
Yeah.
of what I would expect it to feel like for that next iteration.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think that's probably the most important thing that we should get across here. It's not that these aren't worth it or great or anything. We want to tell you that that's what you should expect, is that premium experience, not the flashy, dazzly, whatever new. It doesn't make ice cream for you or whatever.
It does what it does really well,
Yeah.
and it gives you an experience.
Oh, another nice thing. There's a quick playlist button right at top, and it just brings you straight to your
nice.
playlist.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's dope.
which is like just
Instead of having to go back and back and back.
And those are the kind of little things that they've done on this. That it's like
It's got a
they're-
keyboard. Well, I guess the
Yeah.
other one did too.
They're quality of life improvements.
So you can quick call a loop. You
Mhm.
said from these.
Yeah,
Is that why they're blue? Or no,
They're
that's
just
because you
not
don't
set.
have any. Right.
yeah, they're idle or whatever.
So where's your quick loop
I just
besides here? Is it just up here on the?
right here is a 4 and 8.
Oh, instant. I
And
didn't
then
even
you-
see those. See,
yeah.
I don't have my readers on.
oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Refresh. Hit F5.
Did you reset your cookies? Hey, check your TCP IP settings. I forgot to test out the slip,
Oh yeah,
the toggle.
the paddle.
Yeah.
So when you the wave gets bigger and smaller as you
So
Colors.
would you guys like to get together later in the week and do like a Twitch stream or something on these while they're still here?
Sure.
absolutely.
Let's do it.
Tag
Hit
list.
hit that again.
There
Right
we go. RGB 3-band.
How'd you get there?
Shortcut.
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 Okay, I would have never guessed that.
Yep, me neither.
Damn.
Okay, so
him.
if you hit the shortcut button, it brings up, you can change between your waveform and phase meter. You can change your LCD brightness. It's kind of like a, if you swipe up on your iPhone, it's like a quick menu. Hotkey auto load on and off. You can set your default beat jump value. So if you're skipping around beat jumps, if you only want to skip by 1 beat or 4 bars or however many, you can set that setting. You can change your waveform colors, and you can also change your waveform position. And what that'll do is normally your playhead is in the center and it's scrolling past, but if you want to see more of what's ahead, it'll move it further to the left. You know what I mean?
Moves the center line.
Yeah. And then you have a settings load and save in here, so if you're doing multiple DJs and stuff, you can do that.
Told you, man, it's gonna be the spin back of the century right there.
That's like some Richard Humpty vision.
Yeah, right?
Damn!
That's fucking
Right.
Yeah, that thing's nice and smooth. Buttery.
Welcome to Mario Brothers.
Yeah, man.
All right, folks. Anything else we want to talk about, or you just want to mess with them for a few?
Yeah. I would just reiterate. I mean, we've already said it a couple of times, but this is not I hope that it didn't come across too negative. It's just I mean, we're not paid by Pioneer, we're not paid by Denon, we're not paid by anybody. So this is our based on our experiences with gear like this is just our first impressions of all of this, and especially as more innovation hopefully comes from all of this, then we're going to continue to be more and more impressed with this. It is the Cadillac of DJ gear and stuff like that. So if you've got the loot and you're in the market for something like this, then I mean there's
you're not going to be disappointed for sure.
Right. So don't let old naysayers and old farts like me.
So I mean, if someone gave you if they gave you the cash and you had the choice between the Nexus 2000 and this, what are you taking?
Between the Nexus 2000 and this?
Yeah.
It would be this, because this is where they're obviously putting, the next iteration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you put this up against, say, the Denon SC 6000s, that's a different conversation. Mm-hmm. So,
but I'm just saying from the Pioneer experience.
Yeah. Yep. From I mean, as far as that's concerned, I mean, there's little things that just make even just the hot cues, that just little things that make you go, I wonder why they did it that way. But absolutely no reason to not to be like, I'm never playing on this piece of crap. It's just.
I guess if you were looking to buy that Pioneer setup, and all of a sudden this just happened to drop while you were thinking about getting the Nexus 2000, just go ahead and get this, because it's roughly the same price point, right?
Well, it won't be for long.
But I'm saying, if you had saved up for that 2000 Nexus,
right.
You're not going to lose anything by going this direction.
Right. If nothing else, you'll gain more and the bigger screens and all of that stuff. So it's definitely a primo player. For sure.
It is definitely a Pioneer experience.
Yes, it is. So there you have it, folks. Those are our first impressions of the Pioneer CDJ-3000s. Once again, follow our YouTube channel for the next episode of the Passionate DJ podcast so you don't miss it. Also, check out the DJ Hookup and check out the links in the description below for the unboxing video and for the proper full review video once that is complete. Give me a week or so to finish that. And thank you so much. Tony's going to send us out with some scratches, and this has been the Passionate DJ podcast. Peace. Keep on spinning.
See ya.
Easy.
Bye.